honestly don't understand how Gen Z thinks this is like an acceptable way to part your hair. Like, no, my forehead is way too large to do a middle part. So I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna keep it to the side part, and I'm gonna be way cool with that, you know? Does anyone else keep up with the Gen Z millennial TikTok drama? Or is that just me that thrives off of it? Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video. It is going to be my February palette ranking video. This is coming a little bit later than I would have liked, but as I've said in many videos already, February was basically a blur. So I only have 10 palettes to rank for you guys today, but I also do like to thoroughly test out each of my palettes before I come back to rank them for you. So it's not like I've just used each of the palettes one time and am giving you a review. For the most part, I have used every shade in each of these palettes at least one time, and if I have not used a shade, I will point that out when I give my review. So if you guys are interested in the palettes that I was testing out in the month of February, as well as my reviews on them and the way that I would rank them, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project painting videos, palette videos, or you just like to chit chat about makeup, I would love if you would consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's just jump into the video. Alright guys, these are the way that palette ranking videos work on my channel. Again, I do try and thoroughly test out every single palette before I come on to review and rank them for you guys. Many days I'm running off to work literally with seconds to spare to be on time, and let's be honest, I'm never on time to anything. But I don't have like pictures of each of the eye looks that I've created with the palettes. If I have videos where I've been wearing these palettes, I will link the videos right under the palette in my description box down below. Everything will be linked down below if you guys are interested in checking any of the palettes out, or again, if you want to look at any of the videos that I may be wearing these palettes. I will try and insert swatch pictures of each of the palettes. Typically, I want to do like swatch videos, but I am so far behind. We'll be lucky if I actually get the swatch photos in this video, but just know typically for review videos I at least oh my gosh, I can't speak, I at least intend to have pictures of swatches of the palettes for you guys. But February, it just and I'm so far behind, so we'll see how much I can get my life together before this video posts. But if there's not pictures, please don't be super upset. Also, basic math. It really is my jam. I love algebra, I love statistics, addition, multiplication, but I can't count, and I actually only have 9 palettes to rank instead of the 10 that I mentioned in the introduction. And most of these, you guys, with the exception of my bottom ranked palette, I really would I would recommend all of these. Like, I would say if you're eyeing it, like, it's a palette I think is good quality and would recommend. But coming in last place at number 9, I have the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. I picked this up on sale towards the end of 2020 because I really do like Huda Beauty's eyeshadow formula, and I felt like I was starting to like get this collectionist mentality around her larger palettes. I pretty much buy at least one of her Obsessions palettes in every collection, and now I'm like, okay, I have the newest of her 2 larger palettes and I really want to pick up the Nude Palette. So when I saw that this was half off, I was like, I'm just gonna pick this up. And I don't think that this is bad, but it's also not great. I will say I am not a fan at all of the glitter shadow in this palette, and the shade Amethyst, this purple shade, is like moon dust. Like, it's not going to show up on your eyes. Everything else I thought performed pretty well. I will say, like, Twilight, which is a shade I was really excited about, is fine. Same with Retrograde. Like, these are fine, but on the eyes they just didn't perform quite as intensely as I would have liked. But I've created a couple of really pretty looks with this. I will say you're gonna get like a sunset eye pretty much every time you reach into this, unless you only reach into like 1 or 2 shades. The looks that you're going to be able to create with this, even though it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 3, 18. See, I told you I liked multiplication. Even though it is an 18 pan palette, I do feel like you're kind of limited with the direction that you can go with your eyeshadow. Again, I am no makeup artist or like professional when it comes to makeup. So those of you out there who are much better at doing your eyeshadow and much more creative than me, I'm sure you can think of many ways to take this palette. But for me and my skills, abilities, and talents when it comes to eyeshadow, I found this to be a little bit limiting, and I would absolutely not recommend this at full price. At half off, I would say I would only recommend this if this is something that like you really have been eyeing for a while, which this has. Like I have considered purchasing this on Poshmark, and to be honest with you, this had been something that since this released I had been eyeing, but when this released I was like, $65, not spending that on an eyeshadow palette. Over the years I've come to spend more money on eyeshadow, so this has been something I had been like eyeing since it released. But if you haven't had your eye on this, like I don't think you don't need this, okay? And then it was really hard from up to here to rank these palettes. Like actually really hard, because I like all of these, but we'll get into why I'm ranking each where they fall. So next up we have the Sigma Enchanted palette coming in at number 8. And I really like this palette. I think that it is beautiful. I will say I have not used this dark matte green shade as well as this dark black shade. However, I have also tried the mattes in the Sigma Warm Volume 2, and I think Sigma mattes are really nice. I feel like Sigma is really hit or miss on whether or not people like the formula. I will also say that the shimmer formula is a little bit interesting. It's just like, do you guys see, like, I don't even know how to describe like what I'm trying to say at all. I will say this has some really beautiful shimmer shades. I love that shade right there. It's this beautiful lid topper kind of transformative shade. But some of the shimmers are just a little bit, I almost want to say like they have this putty like texture, and they're just a little bit different in terms of the way that they work. So again, I do like this palette. If this is one you've been eyeing, I would recommend this. I would say this isn't like my everyday go-to color story, because when I reach into this, if I'm like, I just feel like I'm a little bit limited with the mattes that it has to offer. I do really like this palette for the shimmers, but I just liked the other palettes that I tried this month obviously a little bit better than I liked the Sigma Enchanted. And again, I would recommend, like, if you have been eyeing this, I would recommend it. If you haven't, I don't feel like you need this. Coming in at number 7, I have this one from Tom Ford, this very expensive puppy. This is, I think that this was limited edition. This is the 27 Meteoric palette. This is what it looks like. And you guys, I really, really like this. The only reason I'm ranking this at number 7 is I feel like this isn't necessarily a color story that I'm going to be reaching for every single day. It's obviously more cool toned, but the formula is really nice, and I really want to pick up like a neutral quad. I would say if you like to just have small, easy, like you don't have to think about it palettes like quads, just for quick, easy on the go, and the $88 price tag doesn't scare you away, I would really recommend this. The mattes, I hate when people like use this to describe it, but it like literally does blend itself. It's so easy to work with. I was even really surprised by this like satin sort of shade. I don't always love a satin shade in a palette because I'm like, how am I going to use this? But I use this to deepen up my look. One day I used it like almost as I would like an outer corner matte, like just really to deepen up the look, obviously. And it worked really nicely. And these two shades on top, again, I hope I can get my life together so that I can show swatches. They are definitely more like lid topper shades, so they're not going to give you high intensity or full impact. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to be really disappointed. But this, on days that I'm just going for a really light look, I have loved. I've gotten tons of compliments whenever I've worn this to work, and this definitely does make me interested in trying more quads from Tom Ford. My bank account's screaming in terror. Alrighty, next up we have the Colourpop Stone Cold Fox. I believe we're at number 6. Yes. I really like this. I really like this palette. I think it's really nice, especially if you are looking to just have maybe like one all-encompassing, I almost said cool toned eyeshadow palette. Super nice. I have not used, I haven't used the black in this. I know I have not. And then I actually have not reached into this silver yet either. I'm working on a silver in a project, so I didn't get around to reaching into that. But everything else I believe I have used. Even the ones that have like the micro glitter in it, I have found with Colourpop, I know a lot of people get really annoyed with the mattes with micro glitter. when I blend those out, they truly perform just kind of like a matte shadow, and I don't get like glitter on my face, so they really don't bother me. And I think that this is a really nice palette. The only reason I'm ranking this at number 6 and ranking some of the others above this is just because sometimes palettes that have this many shades can feel a little bit overwhelming to me, and I like a little bit more toned down and condensed palette. However, when I purchased this palette, I knew that I was getting a large palette, and that's kind of why I purchased this. So I'm very happy with my purchase. If you have been eyeing this palette, I highly recommend it. I think it is beautiful. Some of the shimmers, this palette, when you look at it, it looks kind of boring in my opinion, but these shimmers have some really beautiful dimension to them, and I've created some really beautiful looks with this. So again, very happy with this purchase. I highly recommend this palette if it's something that you've had your eye on. There's just a few that I've liked just a little bit more than this, and we'll get into the reasons why. Coming in at number 5, I have another quad here. I tried quite a few quads this month. This is from Pat McGrath. It's the one she recently released in Divine Rose Eternal Eden. Looks like this. Very, very, very beautiful. The reason I ranked this at number 5 is because, so here I have the two mattes swatched. I'm like, what am I trying to say? This pink shade, I am not gonna reach for unless I am going for like a very pink look. And to be honest with you, like even if I were to just reach into this palette to create a look, I likely would not use this pink matte. So I really have this palette for 3 shades. Now granted, these beautiful metallic shades are just so stunning. I don't believe any of these are her special shades, but they are stunning, especially this shade right here. Like, I'm dying. And I love this purple matte. I think it's so, so beautiful. So I really love having this in my collection as kind of a companion palette. This is something that I'll reach into for these 2 shades for like lid toppers, whatever it might be. I've reached into this while I've created some mauve looks from other palettes just to deepen it up, because again, I think the matte is beautiful, or that color is beautiful, but it's not something that I feel like I could create a look on its own with unless I was doing like a one shadow and done look. So that's why I'm ranking this lower. I know that's kind of what I am getting when I purchase these Pat McGrath quads, so I'm not like mad at it, but this would be my number 5. Coming in at number 4 is another quad, and I am kind of obsessed with this one, you guys. This is from Aether Beauty. I almost purchased this during the Sephora VIB, the last holiday sale, and I kind of wish I did, so I had this sooner. Not necessarily saying I would have tried it any sooner, but this is what this looks like. This is so beautiful. I have created like looks just using this quad many days throughout the month of February. Every time I wear this to work, I get compliments on it. This is another one that has kind of one of those deeper satin shades. So easy to work with to just deepen up a look. Or the other day I did a look where I just used this and then I used this on the lid, but I used this as like a top lash line, like to deepen up my lash. I loved it. I loved it. I love this cute little palette. I will say the shimmers are definitely more intense, like way more intense if you use like a base or a glitter glue. I highly recommend using them with a glitter glue. This shade is so freaking beautiful, but like swatched, it just kind of looks like meh. This on top of a glitter glue, even with a dry brush, so intense, so beautiful. I am so happy to have this little palette in my collection. I still have their larger amethyst palette to test out, and I'm really excited to test it now that I have gotten to play with this. So happy to have this in my collection. If you've been eyeing the little quads from Aether Beauty, I highly recommend. Okay, this next one I feel like could be like my new favorite travel palette. This was such a nice palette to be testing out in the month of February. There were many days where I was like, I don't even want to think about the look I'm doing. I just want to do something simple and like something very much in my comfort zone. This Canyon palette from Alter Ego, it's the dupe to the bronze palette from Natasha Denona. This is such a good palette. Such a good palette. Now I will say I have not used this shade right here or this shade right here. Everything else is absolutely stunning. Another thing I will say is this shade Plateau, which kind of has like this blue micro glitter in it. I was really excited for. It looks a lot different swatch than it does on the eye. It's beautiful on the eye, but this one for some reason just doesn't stay on my eyelids. Throughout the day, I notice that it wears away, but everything else in this palette performs so beautifully. The mattes are so freaking easy to blend. Even days like today, I used a palette that I'm gonna talk about in a couple minutes, but I started this look with this matte right here. I've reached into this palette so much throughout the month of February, and I'm so happy that I picked this up. I would say if you have been eyeing the Natasha Denona bronze but you don't want to spend the money, Alter Ego has such a good eyeshadow formula, and their palette quality is also really nice. You get the nice mirror, and it's not like a very cheapy feeling palette. Like, it feels nicer than what you're than the money you're putting out, in my opinion, and I've been so impressed with this one. Coming in at number 2, I have this one from Lunar Beauty. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is like absolutely stirring up a love for blue eyeshadow. Blue eyeshadow I feel like is going to be my thing this year. I will say the only shades in here that I have not reached into is this Night Sky shade, which is a matte with micro glitter, as well as Gold Dust, which is this one right here. This one actually, okay, I was like, that one looks really textured. But okay, anyway, the mattes, love. I think Manny has a really nice matte as well as a really nice shimmer formula. I will say this is definitely something that like I'm not the most comfortable with, because deeper blues are not like the easiest to work with in my opinion, but the looks that I have created with this I have been like super excited about. So this is something I will continue to just reach into, even just for the mattes, for a day-to-day look. There were a couple days again in February where I just wanted something really quick and really easy, and I just put Sandstorm in my crease and called it a day. So I have been so impressed with Manny's eyeshadow formula. I highly recommend it. If you've been eyeing it, I recommended the Greek Goddess last month. Such a good palette, and this one also did not disappoint. All right, you guys, so then coming in at number 1 is the palette that's on my eyes today. Again, been really into just what's in my comfort zone. Bronzy looks, the Colourpop Wild Child palette. I'm so impressed. I really like this. Really like this. When I saw this, I was like, okay, that's like right up my alley, but I thought I might like some of these others just a little bit more. No, this is so good. I've used every shade in this palette. Again, there's one shade that has matte with micro glitter, but I don't notice the micro glitters like falling on my face or anything, and I don't notice them really like blended into my look. There is one glitter shade. It's this one right here. I actually do have this on my eyes today. I don't mind a glitter from time to time. I will say my favorite shades would be Fierce, which I don't know, is this like, yeah, this one's like a super shock. It's so beautiful. So stinking stunning. And then also Close Up, which I have on my eyes underneath the glitter today. It's so, like if you just want like a warm brown sultry palette. I love that this one's a little bit deeper. I really like this one. Yeah, I would say Colourpop's formula has been a little bit hit or miss for me over the last year, but this is like OG Colourpop formula, like super good. There's nothing in here that feels like a dud to me. I'm gonna get so much use out of this palette. I was going between this and the Canyon palette because they are very similar. In the Canyon palette, you obviously get more shades, but I think I like the matte formula in this just a hair more, and the shimmers, especially that Super Shock shadow, just they're so good. There's been no look that I've created with this palette that I've been like, I don't know about this. I can see myself bringing this with me traveling. I just am really happy with this one. All right, you guys, those were the 10 new palettes that I have to rank for you guys. I would love to know, have you recently tested out any new eyeshadow formulas, eyeshadow palettes? What are you loving? What are you hating? Give me all the dirty details. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel. As you guys always do, I love you guys so much, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.